And welcome to another edition of the Sartorial Geek Podcast by Whips of Style, where we talk about bow ties, comic books, and everything in between. I'm your host, Whips of Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance. We're shooting for stars today, and let's go into the download with the game that, frankly, I did not know was on Game Pass day one. And it's a game that I am excited to play now that I know. And it's a game called Cocoon. No, we are not talking about the 1985 movie starring Jessica Tandy, Cronenberg, whatever his name was, I forget. Wolfram Brimley and Steve Guttenberg, directed by Ron Howard. This Cocoon is on Xbox One, SX, Switch, and PC. It is an adventure game from developer Geometric Interactive and publisher Annapurna Interactive. It's from Jeppe Carlsen, who is the lead gameplay designer for Limbo and Inside. And if you are familiar with either one of those games, you will know how breathtakingly stylized those games were, which has me excited to jump into this later on today. Now, Cocoon takes you on an adventure across worlds within worlds. Master world-leaping mechanics to unravel a cosmic mystery. Cocoon is a unique take on the puzzle adventure genre, where each world exists within an orb that you carry on your back. Wrap your head around the core mechanic of leaping between worlds and combine, manipulate, and rearrange them to solve intricate puzzles. Now, this is a game I'm definitely looking forward to because it sounds like a very unique and interesting take on the genre and just a unique and interesting game in general. So that's the download. Cocoon is on Xbox, Switch, PC, and it's on Game Pass. So there's PC and console. Next, we have our interview with Jessica Starling. Jessica is a bodacious, buxom adult content creator hailing from the Great White North, who is an anime fan as well as an avid gamer and loves horror movies. So it's spooky season, so I know she is literally in hog heaven. Take a look, sit down, relax, and listen to our interview, and then we'll be back, baby, to talk about the fragrance of the week. Here with the lovely Jessica Starling. Jessica, how are you today?
I'm excellent, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, thank you for your time. It's greatly appreciated. Now, I have a lot of things to ask you, a lot of things I'm curious about. But there's one question that I wanted to ask, especially looking at your background. So is the Wonderland amusement park still in the distance up in Toronto area?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I had to ask. I went there in high school for a band competition. So we drove all the way up from Maryland for the competition. I think we got second place, if I remember correctly. But that's where the competition was. So I have my one time in Toronto. I have very vivid and wonderful memories of that time.
Oh, well, I love Wonderland, It's a great little amusement park. I love the roller coasters.
Cool. Now, are you originally from Toronto?
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Small town outside of Toronto. I was sort of raised, and yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, I also see that you on Twitch a lot. Particularly, you say you have a knack for horror games. Now, how did that come about?
For horror games, yeah. I mean, I feel like I've always liked kind of spooky things. I love horror movies. I just love the horror genre in general. And I think I started falling in love with horror games, I guess when I played Resident Evil 4, that was my first one. And ever since then, I love being spooked. Yeah.
Okay, so have you checked out, well, first of all, what are some of your favorite horror movies?
I really liked Pearl that came out recently. Yeah. It's hard to say my favorites of all time, but that's definitely right now prominent in my mind, I guess. Yeah, Pearl.
Okay, that's one I haven't checked out. That one and then X. I know they're part of this trilogy that the director I think it's Ty West is doing. I've heard good things. I just haven't gotten a chance to check them out yet. Because I was going to ask you, with that, and that, especially with X, goes into that sort of whole grindhouse sort of feel. I was wondering if you had gotten a chance to check out the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre game that just dropped this week.
No, I've been super busy, but that sounds great. Have you got a chance to try it?
I haven't. It's on my list, actually. It's on a game primarily on my Xbox, so it's on Game Pass. So I plan on checking that out because they dropped the trailer about a year ago. So I've been watching development. And Texas Chainsaw is one of my favorite horror movies. It's funny because I actually prefer 2 more than 1, and most people think I'm crazy because with 2 I saw it as a kid.
Yeah,
just remember the gore and everything. But then I saw it again as an adult. And as an adult, having taken psychology and other things, I saw the more cerebral aspects of the movie outside of the campiness. I was like, it was just so smart and so intelligently done. And I like a lot of people just like, oh, it's horrible. It's not like the first one is too camp. Like, no, do you understand how intelligent this is with the whole sort of edible complex and how literally in that movie, like the chainsaw is an extension of Leatherface's phallus. And I was like, yo, that's brilliant. Like that is so absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love that. But I plan on checking it out probably tonight. It's it's busy. But speaking of being busy, you're in LA and you're doing a lot of shoots. So who you been working with while you've been there? Or can you not tell that?
Yeah, no, I can. I just have to remember I've done some VR scenes. What else? Let me maybe if I check my calendar, I can actually remember. I did a scene for Evil Angel. That was my VR scene. More girlfriends films, a lot of stuff. Because I'm shooting so much, I'm like, fuck, what did I do? I have to think about it for a second.
Understood. I'm pretty sure, like with anything, it all becomes a blur when you're doing so much.
Yeah, all the dicks become a blur at some point. So,
Understood. Now, I think it's really curious because I've listened to your story in other interviews, and you started out stripping, and then you went to camming due to personal reasons. I'll put it that way, based on some things. And from camming, you've gone to, obviously OF came out, and then you are also working with studios. How has camming changed since you started?
I think the main thing is that since the pandemic, there's just more people doing it. And I think the numbers are going to slowly decrease as people recover, like financially and etc. from the pandemic. But yeah, I think the biggest difference is just that there's so many more models now. In that impacts sort of how many people you have in like a chat room at a time, and what people might be looking for, and etc.
Understood. That increased demand, increased supply, decreased demand because, understood. Now, you bring up, that's a very good point as far as, there's so many more models out there and, maybe less people in the chat room. Marketing is going to be a big part of it. And I've seen in previous interviews where you talked about one of the things you've really learned during this whole experience is how to market yourself more. What have you learned as far as the marketing aspect of the business?
I think it's probably even more important than the content creation aspect, honestly. I mean, you need that part too. But if no one knows who you are or where to find your content, then that's it, really. It doesn't matter how great your content is. So really, marketing is like number one most important thing, even above the content creation itself.
Okay. Now, with you starting to work with more established studios outside of just being you're always an independent contractor, but just, producing your own content.
For sure.
Do you see that as being, I guess, an avenue to further market yourself, to drive people to your, creator, owned and produced content?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, all these companies are going to have a much larger marketing budget than I probably ever will. And they already have, established fan bases and stuff like that. So I'm just, getting myself in front of more people.
Understood. Now, I want to jump back to gaming real quick because I have another thing in my notes that I thought was very interesting, something I want to talk to you about. You also stated in an interview that you were very much into role-playing games.
Yes.
So what are some of your favorite?
Well, I haven't had any time to play it, but I'm very excited to, once I go back home, play Baldur's Gate 3.
I've heard nothing but great things about that.
So I am super excited. It reminds me of the original Dragon Age game. So I'm so excited to get into that. But I really love those kinds of RPGs. Obviously like Elder Scrolls series, Fallout series. Yeah. Stuff like that, definitely.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's weird. I've fallen out, not out of love with RPGs, but I've fallen out of time with RPGs lately because it just takes so much time, and a lot of my gameplay due to other life duties. I kind of get in and get out. So
for sure.
Get in where I can. I'm sure someone as busy you are is probably the same sort of thing. Like you get your gaming in when you can.
No, for sure. And when I stream on like Twitch and stuff, I'm kind of like, I get to play games and do things that are productive. I found the cheat code sort of thing. But it's still different. But yeah, it's like I really love games that you have to put a lot of time into. Because I really love interacting with like a well-crafted world like that. And I really love completing games, like finding all of like the everything and getting all the unlockables and stuff like that. But that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, it takes a whole lot of time. Mm-hmm. So I also saw that you are very much a fan of anime. Are you watching? Well, what are some of your favorite animes of all time?
I don't think I'm like super knowledgeable about anime, but definitely my favorite one of all time is probably Evangelion.
Yes, that is my favorite. I used to have a humongous wall scroll of Shinji Ikari and Unit 01 in college.
Yeah,
that is literally like, there are a few comfort animes I have. That's one of them. Especially, I always love the ending because I always say, this is how you know they were smoking crack or LSD or something when they got to the end of that series. It's like, y'all were having a really good time at that right point.
Yeah, the very end, yeah. And then I've seen all the movies recently too, so it kind of tries to wrap everything up. The newest movie, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Now, speaking of anime, I did see that you were very interested in hentai. Have you gotten a chance to kind of work things out and do some things over there yet?
Not yet, but I hope so soon, because I that hentai and parasited like dream companies to work for me. Yeah.
I saw, I guess, some of their freebies, and on one hand, it's like, okay, this is kind of cheesy. But on the other hand, I'm like the artistry. I'm looking at the camera angles. I'm looking at how, like, it was really beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
With some of them, it's like, man, this is really engaging. It was the filmmaking quality of it that I really was captivated by. Like, how did they do this? How did they make, like, how are they literally recreating, like, the Legend of the Overfiend sort of thing in real life with practical effects? And I was like, this is really amazing. So when I heard in the interview that you were interested, I'm like, oh, has she done it? Like, oh, I have to ask, because I just found it so fascinating from a filmmaking perspective, as a fan of anime and seeing, hentai, especially when it really blew up in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. So I really hope I get the chance to work for them someday.
Okay, well, I hope so too. I would love to see it. One of the things I like about, it's like your content, your present, you bring a quirkiness to it, and I enjoy that.
Thank you.
It's very interesting. and this is acting regardless if it's adult or whatnot. There are times when people phone it in, people kind of just there, or people put on a character. And there are some actors and actresses where this is really who they are. And I get that from you when I see you on screen, when I've seen you in interviews, when I've seen you compared to, how you are in some of the content you produce. Like, that is you. And I feel like that genuineness goes a long way to success in any industry. And I would think especially in the adult industry.
Well, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I think so too, because obviously you kind of reel people in with like the goodies, and then but they stick around because they're like, oh, actually you're like cool, and that's how you like make connections with like your audience and your fans and stuff like that. I think is by being a little bit not like all the way vulnerable, because like healthy boundaries and stuff like that.
Right, exactly.
But just like a little bit vulnerable, a little bit genuine, and that's how you get people who are like really like your fan, because they like who you are and not just like, oh, she has some nice titties,
Right. And I think and even with being able to have the opportunity to have conversation like this, I like really being able to speak to who you really are, and also to show the world, like, look, this is who you are. And it's not just what you can see on screen. This is the woman or what have you that you are. Like, this is a real person. And I really appreciate the genuineness. I mean, in general, I've gotten, but especially in this case from you, like you're literally like I've seen in every other interview, which is amazing and awesome. Personally speaking. So I understand, so you've been in LA for a while. Like, how long have you been in LA right now?
Well, I've been here. So this trip is like, I think this is like my third week or something.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I come out here for a while. So I have a little bit longer, and then I'm going to go back home to Canada for a few months, and then maybe come back out here to escape the winter.
That makes sense. Yeah. I'm just talking with some, I'm out East Coast. So just talking to a colleague, he was saying, yeah, we're due for winter storm. I'm like, don't talk about that. We ain't talking about winter yet. Let's get through the summer yet.
Let's get through the summer. God, yeah.
I do not want to think about winter storms and settling snow. So I totally understand of getting away for winter. Now, as you've marketed yourself, as you built your name up, going into sort of mainstream studios. I say mainstream because I think the industry is very interesting. Like, pretty much they established studios, but I think that, especially with the rise of creating own content, there's, from optics outside looking in, there's more of an even playing field. Did you find that you had studios coming to you because of the rise in popularity of your creating own content?
Yeah, well, firstly, during the beginning of the pandemic, MindGeek, the parent company of like browsers and reality kings and stuff, reached out to me and my partner at the time, and asked if they could like buy a video from us to put on browsers, since they didn't know like when production and all that was going to start again. So, I mean, there was that. But I think as soon as the pandemic started, like companies like MindGeek really saw the value, and people who make their own content on home, because they had to rely on that for a little bit because they didn't know when actual productions were going to start again. We were all kind of in the dark. So yeah. So there was that instance when MindGeek reached out to me, and then. Yeah, I mean, having your own audience from like your own content and stuff definitely, I feel like, does also help with like your mainstream success, because I mean, ultimately it just comes down to dollars and cents. And if you already have an audience to bring, that's just more money for the studio, really. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Makes sense. Now, one of the things I found absolutely fascinating, and it seems like, I don't know if it's the pandemic that did this or just that transition where more and more professional grade equipment is available to the average user. I mean, I'm talking on this thing right here, which is
Yeah.
something that was like, I would have never thought this would be here. I don't know, back in 2011 when I first started doing podcasts, just talking to my phone on Google
Yeah,
Voice
for
with
sure.
people.
Yeah.
Never would have thought that would happen. And we've seen this explosion in, ring lights and whatnot. Has that made it easier to produce professional looking content in the confines of your own home?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even if you just have like an iPhone, I mean the cameras on them are like pretty damn good, and you can shoot in 4K. You can shoot at 60 frames per second, or you can they have like a 24 frames per second option too, so you can like shoot like it's like an actual movie pretty much. Yeah, and like stuff with the iPhone, like you can like make it still look a lot more amateur, but
Right.
it's like it's still good quality. It's at least 1080p. Yeah, it's really easy now, or simple at least, to make content that is visually appealing. You can still like fuck it up, but like it's harder to if you have like a ring light and you just put yourself in the center of the frame of your fucking iPhone and be like, okay, well,
Right.
it's a lot
Exactly.
less complicated.
Understand, because I've seen that, and then obviously there's some people who just have a very good knack for putting together content. They have a good eye. They are, they know about angles and this and that. Like they see it in their head, and some people kind of just put a phone up, get a couple ring lights, and do what they do, and like
Yeah.
that's cool. But
Yeah.
there's one of the things that I've even going back. I'm dating myself, like the 90s, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
There's an artistry to it.
For sure.
And one of the things I like about creative on content is that we're getting back to, there are a lot of content creators they're thinking about the artistry, they're thinking about camera angles, they're thinking about producing good quality content instead of just getting on cam and, I'm going to please myself, or, I have a guy or lady and like, we're just going to get on the bed and do whatever. And just, we're going to put it out there. There's a standard of quality, I think, that a lot of content creators like yourself are really elevating. And I like seeing that. If anything, I like it when people respect what they're doing to give their customer quality product. And one of the things that you saw, especially with the pandemic and so many people switching to camming, switching to OnlyFans because of trying to make money, there was a lot of crap content out there.
No, for sure. Yeah, because everyone was kind of trying it out for the first time. They'd never done anything like this before. And a lot of like putting your iPhone on a ledge with your tungsten light and just doing something,
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there is a market for everything. Obviously, people do like more amateur looking things because they might feel more authentic. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand, and I agree. I just, like I said, I'm all about quality, and I love it when a creator really understands what their strengths are, what they want it to look like, but also what their brand is. And that is something I can definitely say about you. You definitely understand your strengths. You understand who you are, especially on camera. That is something that definitely comes across. And also, you know how to present yourself as well. You know about camera angles, and again, a lot of this is trial and error. You've been doing this for a while, so you've had a lot of experimentation, I'm sure, to figure out what works for you. But that's really appreciated by the public at large, I'll say.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. I put some work into that porn, so yeah.
Yes, you did. Oh boy. So I will leave it there. It's been a wonderful time, Jessica, because I could talk to you for hours, but no, we both got things to do, and you probably got some more business to take care of today. But tell everybody where they can find you.
For sure. Well, you can follow me on Twitter. We're going to call it Twitter still. At Jessica Starling, but the first E is a 3, so it is J3 Jessica Starling, if that makes sense. You can also find me on Instagram at Jessica Starling X. Oh, and you can join me on my free OnlyFans page at onlyfans.com/Jessica Starling free. You join my free OnlyFans, you get a free video. Super cool. Yay.
Well, thank you, Jessica. Appreciate it. And you will find at least the Twitter and Instagram and below, because YouTube doesn't like anything referencing OnlyFans. They will take you down. No,
okay,
just the links. Just the links.
Yeah, you can bleep that part out with the OnlyFans.
Right. Oh, no. Audio's fine. It's just the links.
Just not
Trust me,
the links. Yeah. Okay.
Even if it's any links, they're like, oh no, we detect OnlyFans. We're going to edit this, or we're going to pause this. Yeah. They're real.
Okay.
YouTube is funny. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Yeah.
I had such a great time interviewing Jessica Starling. It was really fun to know how much of an gamer and particularly RPG person she was. And myself, I love horror movies, so it was nice talking to her about that as well. Well, it is spooky season. Fall is getting crisp outside. The leaves are turning color and falling, and the fall always reminds me of tobacco fragrances. And I pulled out one of my favorites today, and that is Tobacco Boss from Authenticity Parfums. Right now, you can get a 60 ml bottle on sale for just $39.99, discounted from a typical price of $59.99. So it's definitely a steal. On the top, you're going to find top notes of bergamot and orange, heart notes of tobacco, bay leaf, eucalyptus, and patchouli, and then base notes of vanilla, honey, leather, tonka bean, and sandalwood. Now, this is a fragrance that every time I smell it, just taking the top off, it reminds me of high school. Now, back in high school, I ran track on my junior and senior years, and especially my junior year, I had this ritual, as most athletes do. Before every meet, I ate a little baggie, at least while I was still in production, of a cereal called, I believe it was maple waffle crunch, or something to that effect. It was looked like little waffles, and it was maple flavor. And that was like my thing that I did every single meet. And this fragrance, when I take the top off, that maple and that honey and that vanilla, it just reminds me of that time in my life. Now, when I spray it, I get that freshness, that burst of bergamot and orange, and then it starts to make way for the heart notes, especially the eucalyptus. Now, I will say now it's been about a year or so since I've acquired this bottle of the fragrance, and the eucalyptus has really mellowed out, in my opinion, since I initially got it. It melds a lot better with tobacco and the bay leaf and the patchouli. I don't get too much of patchouli, like little hints here or there throughout the day, but it's not as loud, in my opinion, as it was when I first started wearing the fragrance. And then it melds into that sweetness of the honey, the tobacco, the honey, the leather, the vanilla, the tonka bean, and the sandalwood. I will say I don't get much of the sandalwood, maybe to like hour 10 or 11. Yes, you'll get 12 hours of smell with this bad boy. Maybe not 12 hours of projection, but you definitely get a nice scent bubble after about that 8-hour mark. This is a fragrance that you'll wear and it'll last all day, but it is definitely one I enjoy wearing for the fall. It makes me think of the fall season and the harvest, and it's just one that, for the price of right now on sale, $39.99, it is a steal. So if you are not familiar, get familiar. So that's my take on Tobacco Boss. You know how you can find us. You know how you can support Basil and Sage. I love their subscription boxes. Unboxing over the past few months have been really fun, and I've gotten a lot of items that are just super duper useful. In this latest box for September, it came a little bit late, but we talking about September even though it was October. The organic body wash, I've been using it. That has been absolutely great. It's been moisturizing my skin really well compared to some of the other soaps I've used in the past, as well as some of the other items, which for some reason I can't think of them off the top of my head, because I'm using the body wash every day. So that really six of them on my mind. Oh, the Afro Pop socks for this month's box, or I guess last month's box, were really really comfortable to wear. I really enjoyed wearing those, and we'll probably wear them again tomorrow because they're now washed and cleaned. But those are just 2 items in the latest box, so I have just really enjoyed working with them. And if you are so inclined, you can get 10% off your first box by using the code Sotoyo and Geek. 50 right now. Boxes are $50, so that's what, $5 off of a box. So bring down to 45, and you definitely get, even at full price, you get more than the $50 worth in any given box. And it's just been really cool working with them. Oh, that's right, the room spray from Mahogany Wick. That stuff is amazing, man. It has lasted days in the one room I tested it, like literally days. It is so good. I mean, just those 3 items alone, I'm getting a lot of use out of. But Sartorial and Geek 10 is the code you use at checkout for Basil and Sage to get your first box. You can also check me out on Patreon at the $1, $3, and $5 marks. Check us out there. Again, Pete and Pedro, wintertime's here, so I'm going to be rocking Villain a lot. Check them out for fragrances as well as hair care and vitamins now, I believe, by using the affiliate code below, and you will get 10% off your first purchase. And of course, you're tired of sugary, sweet energy drinks, try W. Get 10% off of your first purchase with the code Webster Man. And of course, I am all over the internet. Of course, I'm here a couple times a week, here, YouTube, and also I'm over with my friends over at Nerds of the World, talking with Sean Mongold and Kuya P on Kayfabe Baby, the NRW Ring Generals podcast, talking about wrestling. There's been a lot going on, so we got a lot to talk about this week, as well as my man Brian Sav talking about video games. And the fall is here, heading into Christmas buying season, so we're going to have a lot of games to talk about over the next few months over at the NRW Checkpoint. Find me on the socials: Instagram, Sotoyo and Geek and Webster Style, Twitter, Webster Style, and TikTok _Webster Style. And of course, anything and everything can be found at websterstyle.com. Drop me an email, info@websterstylemagazine.com. I thank you again for your time. I thank you again for your listening ear. And remember, stay safe out there and be blessed.
Strong, we can lift them to the sky. The party's off to 12. We got a little time to get it on. And known fact, I'm the type who puts it on. And after that, take a picture with your phone of the outfit. Admit I'm choosing what we own. That was Tree Green Tuesday. Had to be Bow Tie Thursday. Had to be White Wednesday. I know last time. Well, I wore polka dot. You didn't wear. Miss Million, them heels killing them, but I'm sure it's a Thursday. Bow tie Thursday, pasta cream in your heels, looking sharp, babe. Acting like you don't know the rules up in the workplace. Must I remind you it was till on your birthday? Don't get me wrong, I think we killed in the birthdays. And you picked the hella fit for the church day. Let's say you picked the wrist game poet. Now you got the floor filled with bras that you purchase. Pick a color scheme that can match your berry corset. Get the berry cream. Get the berry cream, get the berry cream, we gon' make a little scene. Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. Let's see what it seems. If it is what it seems. Do it again. Chicks be looking thick leggings, you know what I mean? I don't know. Take a hint though, don't try to get me at a moment. Mint though, smoking hot, rocking this pin so thin. Tie hairline, looking like a stencil. Pimp, no lie, I'm sharper than a utensil. Instrumental, plain dang, homie. I was hoping we could walk out with that bang bang, honey. See them plain James, honey. Them lame frames, funny. We tell it fit it crazy like that thing came on me. Hey, mommy. Look a lady, main thing, want me on the scene. Fit popping like a main vein, running blood color lips, smashing with the hand. Clutch money, holding back, kinda funny. Can you tell me what's the price tag of the Range Rover? Hang on me when we walking, looking Gucci like that thing sprayed on me. Walking with a limp like an ankle sprained on me. Yeah, I rock the cardigan. She don't really want me because one man should have all that styling. Take it out, clothes on the floor, piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it up and let me see what's under them seams. Cause no one man should have all that should fit it all in them jeans. So take it up and let me see what's under them seams. Hey, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Aim up and on the middle of my lawn. Aim up and on the middle of my lawn. Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it up and let me see what's under them seams.
Oh, you wanted to? Oh, I completely read that wrong.